Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jullian, and today I'm going to be showing you a little method that I created to get some cool animations going on these Godox lights behind me. If you don't know what these lights are, these are the Godox TL60s. They're the tube lights. They have an app that they're associated with called the Godox Light App. The app itself allows for controls and like changing the settings on each of the lights, but there's no way to send precise lighting cues or anything like that. If you haven't checked it out already, please do watch the previous video. It's more of a retrospective about the whole process and getting these lights to work. Quick disclaimer, this method is a bit advanced, so if there's anything that you'd like clarification on, please do leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer all your questions. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the things that you'll need to set all of this up. First thing you'll need for this method is an Android device. In my case, it's an older ZTE Axon that I bought years ago. Just as long as you're able to download the Godox Light app or any app that your lights use, you'll be perfectly fine. You'll also need a USB-C cable to connect it to your computer. Of course, you'll need the lights themselves. In this example, I'll be setting this up with my two Godox TL60s. There isn't any limit to this really, other than, I guess, the limitations of how many lights your app can connect to. Then the last thing you'll need is your desktop or laptop. So let's now talk about the programs and settings you'll have to put up on there. Now, first of all, you'll need to get the program called Macro Recorder. This is the heart and soul of this whole effect, and this program in particular seems to be the most competent one I've found. It has all the necessary tools to make very complex movements in the app. The second program that you'll need here is SCRCPY. I just followed a YouTube tutorial that I saw regarding it, and on the GitHub page you'll just have to scroll down to the section that mentions get the app and download it for your appropriate operating system. So in the case of SCRCPY, you actually don't have to install anything. This is just a case of extracting it to a familiar location and then accessing a single program inside the folder. An additional program you can download for more sophisticated sequences would be Audacity. I already have it installed and it's your standard music cutting software. I actually didn't consider this program when I initially set this up, but this does have more accurate time codes at the bottom of the screen. If you do want to set your sequence up to be timed with music, then this would be my suggestion for you. So for my example, I'm going to try to recreate the third song for my main event set. So to begin, let's set up our screen. You're going to want to open Macro Recorder, place that to whichever side you prefer. I prefer the top right. Take your selected music program and drag that to another small section of your screen. Then the last thing would be SCRCPY itself. I won't be going over SCRCPY in too much detail here, but I will link an appropriate tutorial in the video description. With your phone now connected to your computer by a cable, you can open up and mirror your phone screen, drag it over to take as much real estate as possible. This would be the starting layout for any sort of sequence that we do using this method. Now you can do this part on your computer or just tap it through on your phone. You're going to want to create a scene that involves the lights that you have available, and you just have to connect your lights by Bluetooth, so let me go do that. Once you have everything connected, just do a quick test to make sure that they're reacting on time and that you're able to control all the settings. So here I have this light, and you can see it's now adjusting to the changes that I make. I'm able to switch it to colors. I have the brightness control at the bottom. Here's a couple tips for the Godox app itself and how it remembers the settings that you apply. When you match things into a group, you're able to power off and on the units simultaneously using a single switch. When you open up the group screen, it's going to apply that setting that it's on immediately to the lights. For now, I'm going to turn them to this red color, jump out, and then go to these individual lights, and then change them up to some other settings. Let's try something along here. Let's do a blue for this other light. When I jump back into the group, it does jump back to the setting that the group tab was set to. With the Godox lights specifically, I noticed they jump back very quickly between different modes. On each tab, it will remember the settings that it gets switched to. So for example, I switch over to candle, jump back to the HSI tab, and my red color is still there. I can bring it over to green. When I'm back in the FX tab, it is going to still be in candle. So let's start giving it a sequence. In this case, I'd like the lights to be ready at green. For effects, I'd like them to be on the party mode at level 3 for that really intense effect. Okay, I'm not going to keep that for too long. And then we'll be starting at just a plain white light. So the first thing I throw into Macro Recorder is a focus window command. In the MISC tab here, you'll find focus window. Then you're able to select the SCRCPY application and add that into your sequence. At this point, playing the macro just turns its attention to the SCRCPY app. From here, we are trying to time it with a specific moment in the song. So going down to my music here, I'm going to play it back and find out the exact time code for the moment I'd like. So in this cut of the music, it ends up being on the 21-second mark. That's what you'll end up seeing on this timer here. So my first step would then be to detect that number showing up. So in Macro Recorder, I would click down and press the Find Text to then type in 21 and restrict it to a certain area. In this case, it's not in the focus window of the SCRCPY app, so I switch the search area to entire desktop, restrict the search area, define it as this section here with the seconds count. All these other settings are fine, it just says when it notices the number, it will then move to the next action. This is where it gets a bit difficult because we're now going to have to refine the timing slowly using just minor adjustments to the wait time. So for my test here, I'm just going to add in maybe 500 milliseconds, just half a second of time. And I'm going to have my lights going from off to on. So from here, I would just set up a mouse click action. The way that I did it was by setting up the basic click command, but it does appear there is a smart click to detect an exact image before clicking. I use the smart click on my exact button, and here it captures the image of what it's looking for, what it's trying to click. It will be in the focused window. I just wanted to click the left button and we'll set that in place. Giving it a quick test. Lights will be off, music starts playing back, and I press play on the command. It's searching for the time. Not bad. Not too bad, honestly. So with just 4 commands, we're already getting some sort of automation in place. The next action is around the 28-second mark. Starting from the top, you add in a find text, type in 28, get it to search the entire desktop in the restricted area of this box. And the next action I want is for the lights to turn back off. So using another smart click, I would click the light switch here. It's going to be searching for that image and we're all set there. Just a quick note between these 2 commands here. The timecode 21 was a bit sooner than the actual beat I wanted to hit. So I did have to apply a bit of a wait to delay that click so that the timing would match. In the case of the second one, the timing was pretty much spot on with the timer switching over to 28, so I didn't apply any sort of wait. Stay hydrated. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm surprising myself with how quickly it's getting the timing just right. My next action is having it wait once more for another beat in the music. It does help to have all of this planned out ahead of time, so before getting onto the computer, maybe just write out your entire sequence on paper with time codes so you can get an idea of what you're about to set up. My next command is at the 31 seconds, and in this one I think I do have to apply a bit of a wait. I'm having the lights power back on one more time. It's a bit of a boring section of the set, but stay with me. From here, I know I have to switch it over to a green color and then into the party effect in the effects tab. So preemptively, I'm gonna set up this dragging motion on the top bar here. I'll select a click, have the left button click along here maybe. You can use spacebar to set the position without actually clicking on the screen. I'm gonna have it click down. Then to follow it up, you just have to set up another mouse click a little further left and have it pick up. These 2 moves in sequence, if we play them from here, you'll see it's able to drag over the top bar and have both HSI and my effects tab ready. So let's pick out the next 2 timings. Then I'll use a smart click to click on HSI. When switching tabs, it's already set up to green as I had positioned it. When some of these commands are too tight back to back, I prefer to just throw in a wait command without setting up the searching screen for text command. So in this case, maybe like a timer of about 700 milliseconds. It's not a full second, but it's longer. I'll have it click over to the effects tab, wait about maybe a second and a half, and have it click over back to the HSI tab to get us back. Alright, the first few commands I was pretty confident with, but this one I'm not expecting to be perfect. Let's give it a play and see how we did. Alright, first command is on time. Lights power off. They jump back on. Green. Party is a bit off. Okay, party didn't go. Back to the drawing board, we're just gonna do a bit of a touch up to it. A thing I noticed with Smart Click is that you may want to apply a bit of the color tolerance in order for it to guarantee a successful click. We got pretty close though, so let me reset the page and give it one more play. Just to show it to you here in case you missed it, I'm playing the music first, then I'm playing the command on the macro card. Powered off. On. Wait for this drop right here. Boom. Whoa. Back to green. Okay. Looking back at it now, I do notice that there's a lot of ways I could have simplified my original version a bit more. But hey, you live and you learn. Let's watch it one more time for demonstration purposes. I reset everything, power off the lights, have my music playing, and run the command. And There they go. They're letting Albert do his whole thing. Lights power off. We're doing the build-up. And this is the pre-drop on the sound we switch. If you're ever trying to make a change to something in the middle of the sequence, best bet is to just set it up as it should be for the part. Click onto one of these searching text commands so that you can play it with the music, and then you're gonna play from selected. Again, this is set up for the next section of the song, and it's just letting me practice it. And that honestly is about it. Your job from here is to then just set up all your commands and get everything lined up how you'd like them to be. Again, the music timing, completely unnecessary. If you just want to do a small sequence of actions, you can just apply a couple wait commands with a couple milliseconds in between. This whole process was such a ride. I didn't have any of this information on hand, I just had to put it together with what I thought would work. And again, please check out the other video to see a bit more about how I went from one idea to the other. This is a method that works for Android only. I do have to look into it a bit more to find an iPhone equivalent for the SCRCPY program or some method of screen mirroring an iPhone. If you have a suggestion for that, please do let me know. A couple of things to note. With the commands like smart click or wait for pixel color, it's probably best to add a bit of color tolerance to ensure the program doesn't stutter if something does come up. Lastly, like always, remember to save. It's very easy to drag something to an incorrect spot and then losing your mind for a few hours figuring out where it went wrong. So that's your tutorial for today. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Again, please ask me any questions in the comments below. If you do set this up for yourself, maybe leave me a message in the comments and I'd love to check out your work. But for now, it's late. It feels like I'm back at the day before the show, losing sleep over this. I'll see you next time. Bye.